So here I am, just thinking and figuring, and I couldn't tell how that bracket was orientated, and I couldn't tell where those are supposed to be. And that's because these loaders are a little bit different. They have the same basic shape and platform idea, but I had to look back and see. This is actually a GT14 bracket set. There's the frame brackets there, and then this front hoop actually goes vertical like that. This is the pump mount. So this would be the driver's side. No, never mind. That's the driver's side. That's the passenger side. And then you can see where there's been some weld repairs on those upright beams. That's where these came in. These were actually welded there. And that was the lateral support, similar to this angle iron setup here. Much more robust on the bigger loader frame, but none of this will really quite fit on the 520xi series. So before I get too far into designing or figuring out what I can do to adapt this to the front of this tractor, I want to kind of figure out my pump orientation. And I need to know which direction that spins, and I also need to know which direction that this engine spins, so I can make sure it's pumping in the right direction. So I found a link on the build page from this loader and found this DM21 pump at hydraulicstore.com and found out it's a bi-directional pump. So basically this could be inlet or outlet, as this could be inlet or outlet depending on the direction that it spins. So what I'm going to have to do is just find my best way to mount this thing, and then once I do get it mounted, I'll get a bucket of oil or some jugs of oil and see which way it is actually pumping in order for my hose orientation to work out right. Sounds simple. So looking in the box of lasered pieces, I found these that very much resemble the front mount mule drive. So just looking, I can see that this matches up quite well. And so I measured that hole and I'm at about 840 thousandths. And I found this, which is like 938. It's just a solid piece of bar that's tapped on both sides. So what I'll do is I'll measure these little nubs here and spin that piece down a little bit, cut it to length to fit in those holes, and flush weld them on the outside, just like the factory did on their mule drive. This piece here is obviously the front bracket, and so I can work on getting these put together so they can fit inside the tractor front end, and then keep going on my pump mount. I also found this piece here that's all cut out, and it looks like there's some adjustability, and that this might be the other half, so it can be built with some tension. I'm not so sure exactly, but this is kind of just a puzzle that I'm putting together. I do believe that my mock-up sitting on those 8-inch bricks is very close and accurate to this design. I might raise it up. I'll probably just get it as close to the frame as I can and go from there. With this layout here, this hood just hinges open from the top, so I'll have plenty of room to open the hood, and that's always good for serviceability. For my own reference, the cross member here is 5 inches from that front bumper. And I think for now, I'm probably going to just move the tractor away from the loader, so that way I can keep working on that pump mount and then work on the subframe and kind of work my way out from there. So when you're working on a lathe, if you didn't know this, you can always tell if your tool, your cutter, is at the right height by just bringing it in, taking a small scale or a thin ruler, and just bringing the cutter in until it holds it. And you should be just less than vertical. So the cutter should be just underneath the actual workpiece. So I'm at probably about an 85-degree angle, and that's just great. Now I'm ready to cut. There we go. They're all turned down. Everything fits good on both pieces. There's the other one. And now I can put some weld splatter all around those rings right there, and it'll get stuck together. It'll be great. So now all I've got to do is weld these. Now those pieces are finished welding. I'm going to let them cool off, and then I'm going to install them to see how that piece will fit, whether it's on the outside or if it's on the inside flush with the outside. Okay, here we go. I welded some washers on the inside of those pins just to keep the attach-o-matic tabs from, falling sideways or whatever. And then I just tacked this front piece on, and now it's time to kind of just play around and see if I can figure out how this is actually supposed to fit with that pump and make sure I've got this piece on right. Well, I went through the majority of the pieces and matched them up and just kind of took note of what's there and maybe what some of these pieces could have been for. I think a lot of them were for recreating some of the loader tabs, if those main arms, the main beams were going to be rebuilt. So I'm kind of just using what I can, I believe. And there was just a pile of extra steel as well. And so I cut this plate up and tacked it into the bottom of this, we'll say mule drive attachment. And I welded up my corners inside and outside, and everything fits well. So now I'm playing with the pump, and the pump is right here. And I think what I'm going to end up doing is trimming that down on this first blue line. Then this whole assembly, when it's together, along with this piece, I will cut there and keep this. This will end up getting welded, just the top half, but I think at about 6 inches. And then this will be gusseted to this plate, and then I'll grind that plate to fit inside this gusset. So I'm just going to tack everything together and then check the alignment of the pulleys. But I think just by hanging a random belt and hanging the pump, I think that's where I need to be, is at 6 inches. So I think it's funny that I never did come up with a name for this 520xi. I've had it, I think it was in August of last year I bought it. And so yeah, I did mention in the title of the first part of this series, I think I'm just going to call this whole tractor with the loader Duke. And Duke is the guy that started this build, and so what better a name than that tractor. Seems like it's pretty tough and won't take no crap, kind of like him. Thanks for watching. I've already got me a good mess going on, taking up all kinds of room, but I think it's going to be worth it. One thing I haven't mentioned yet, if you've seen this piece, is this is off one of those weight machines where you select your own weight and then the weight slides up and down on this. I think I got 440 or 480 pounds of weight machine weights that are stackable. And so the plan is that once the subframe for the loader is built, this will be on the back of it. So then I can just stack all that weight on the back. And it's kind of uptight to the tractor, but if I were to fill those tires, throw some wheel weights on, and then have another 440 or 480 off the back of that, I'm pretty sure I'll have all the traction I need.